How is everyone doing tonight? Thank you so much for being here, and to anyone who is new to Zoom, congratulations, you found us. For everyone else, well, here we are again on our computers. I'm Lisa Wren, and on behalf of the Walnut Creek Library Foundation, I am delighted to welcome you to our conversation with Mary Ladd, the author of the Wig Diaries. This is our very first virtual live from the library program, so in a way you are part of library history here. And also please bear with us as we work out the technical kinks. Before we get started, I want to extend a special thanks to our live program sponsors. That would be the Friends of the Walnut Creek Library, Minuteman Press in Lafayette, and the East Bay Times. The Wig Diaries is Mary Ladd's debut book, and it's about her experience battling cancer. It's a collaboration with her friend Don Asmussen, creator of the San Francisco Chronicle's Bad Reporter strip. The illustrations set the tone. You've seen the slideshow. Now there's the book. They set the tone. It is irreverent completely, and as Mary has described it as the book she wished she had when she was first diagnosed. Mary's writing has appeared in Playboy, in Time Magazine, in the Chronicle, and 5 anthologies. She's a member of the Writers' Grotto. And most notably, if you watch No Reservations with Anthony Bourdain, she was the host showing him around the Bay Area when he did episodes here. She's a food writer in addition to everything else. She has not taken a break during our shelter in place. Her latest book is Write It Down, Coronavirus Writing Prompts. And it helps folks navigate life during the coronavirus era. And it's available in print and ebook form. Tonight's program will be moderated by Janine Kovac, who is the author of Spinning, which is Choreography for Coming Home. Janine is the recipient of the Elizabeth George Foundation Collection, George Fellowship from Hedgebrook. And she is working now on a collection of essays about the Nutcracker. One of the nice things I want to point out, one of the nice things about Zoom is it allows us to add some new interactive features with you, our audience. So for example, at some point tonight, a poll is going to pop up. Just go ahead and answer the questions. Also, if you have a question for Mary or Janine, during the program, there's a little Q&A icon down at the bottom. Go ahead and click on that. You can type in your question, and keep in mind that only the panelists will see your questions. So, and just to note, in case there's a lot of questions, she will get to as many as she can. We can't promise all of them. So without further ado, here are Mary and Janine.
Hi, everyone. Thanks,
Lisa. Thank you. You snuck into the library. Because of your background, you're surrounded by books.
It's our library, yeah.
You are in the library. Oh, okay. I'm in Oakland. We're not allowed to go anywhere yet, so
nope.
That's very exciting. Well, I want to welcome everyone who's come tonight. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you to the Walnut Creek Library Foundation. When we first put this date on the books, this was not what we thought this would look like. And yet, here we are, as all of you have probably adjusted in your own lives over the last 3 months. So, Mary, it's great to see you. And let's get started.
Yeah.
Right? So, this is the Wig Diaries. As Lisa mentioned, if you have questions, you can click on the little Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom screen. We'll go through the questions. A lot of them will likely be similar, and we'll pick about 5 or 6 at the end of our interview here, and there'll also be a poll during our Q&A. So, how did the book come about?
Well, when I was a writer, and so when I was diagnosed, I'd been a writer for about 12 years, maybe more, and so have a built-in community, and I'm very social. So I had a lot of messages coming my way, hopes and prayers. And a lot of people were very panicky and freaked out. And so it was a lot of inbound communication. And I realized that I was overwhelmed. How can I communicate back? And I was pretty exhausted because I started treatment as soon as possible. So I started just messaging people and sending them a newsletter and updates on, hey, these little girls want me to take off my wig. I brought my own cheese plate to the waiting room. I'm really sad that this is happening. Here's the treatment plan. Here's the details. I'm spending a lot of time in the bathroom. Dawn, who did the illustrations, we've been friends for a long time. And oh, before I get to that part, there were some writers and editors and publishing types reading this. And so I got questions of, are you going to write a book? Are you going to do an article for a magazine? And I don't know how to, at the time, I didn't know how to do any of those things. But I felt like, well, maybe there's something to it. And so Dawn, I decided to work with Dawn because he, instead of sending me hopes and prayers and being overly sad and things like that, he emailed me and was making fun of me. And he was a cancer survivor, so he was sharing tips. And so his sense of humor, it was really what I needed, and I really connected. And so we would message each other. And then I said, hey, why don't we do a book together? Especially, he has a big following. And so I said, I'll get the text together if you could do the illustrations. And we started meeting in this very glamorous food mall, this food court in the mall, and he would do his drawings, and we sent it out to people. We were rejected. We were told kind of, well, it's a cancer book. We don't really do cancer books, things like that. And so I would get afraid, and I decided, why not just do a Kickstarter like my friend Tamara did when she launched a food magazine. And that's a lower stakes way of doing something. And we raised over $9,000, which is maybe about what we would have gotten with an advance. I'm not really sure. But that gave me a timeline on how to do it, and hired an editor, hired someone to do the design. And so we launched the book at the Cartoon Art Museum, and now it's in bookstores, and it's been good to connect with patients and people who are healthcare providers and who are taking care of relatives and friends and saying, this really speaks to me.
So going back, well, before, as you're getting these text messages and these calls and all these hopes and prayers, what would pre-diagnosis, or maybe even post-diagnosis, that really fragile space, what would Mary in that fragile space have gotten out of your book?
Oh, well, I think it's really helpful to just tell someone, I'm thinking about you, I care about you. Does that make sense? But also give someone an insider's take on what's really happening, how graphic it is, how depressing and sad it could be, and that it's ongoing. There is no end point. It's not that there's an end to this. Even though I'm not in active treatment, there's still PTSD and after effects. Does that make sense? Does that answer?
Right. So if you had this book when you were going through treatment or after treatment, I guess it would have validated, I guess, some of the, I think we might get to this later, but part of the problem where people just say, oh, hopes and prayers, sorry for your loss. We don't know how to we feel compassionate, but we don't know how to put that into words. And we also don't know how to validate someone's really awful experience. Because sometimes it sounds like you're dominating the conversation. Oh, I've been there or something. And I think we just get a little tongue-tied. So to have a book that just validates, this is like in a comic way, right? This is really awful. You're not imagining it. You could throw a fit. I think that's probably pretty comforting for,
Yeah, well, I noticed that a lot of times people, they mean well, and I have done this myself before I was sick. They mean well. But a lot of times what they wanted me to say back to them was, I'm fine. That is the most American thing you can say about anything you're navigating. I'm fine. And many times I was not fine. Our language for grief and for illness and dying and loss, we don't have enough of the language, and we don't have practice with it. And so we're really clumsy. And so I would definitely try and maybe roll my eyes to myself if someone was just blabbing on and on and on about, well, my neighbor had it, and now she's an Olympic skater, things like that. When people are just trying to assure me or assure themselves, they mean well, there's love there, right? they're trying their best, and so am I.
Right, yeah. Well, what scenes didn't make it into the book? What scenes would we see? As I read this, I really felt like I was watching Phoebe Waller-Bridge from Fleabag, going through all of these events. I saw her waiting, going around the hospital trying to get in and sitting on the toilet and all this kind of stuff. So what scenes didn't make it into the book that might make it into your Netflix series?
Absolutely. I was a model. I was a cancer model that was kind of a disaster. I missed the dance practice, and then they changed the dance routine. So I just sort of spun around like a hippie, and that was weird. And they said, Mary, you need to go put on your makeup. And I was like, it's here. There was so much makeup. It was more makeup than I've ever worn. There was that, and then I almost drowned. I went on a cancer camping trip with other cancer people, and they said, it's all about, try new things and feel good about your body and yourself and your journey. And we're in this river boat, and they said, if you want to get in the water, you can. And I love the water, but I forget I'm not really that strong, not that good. And I get in, and the waves are like, choo, choo, and it's like splashing my face. And then I remember the woman who's running our boat is like half my size. How is she going to fish me out? But she just reached over and grabbed me. But I was like, And then we came back, and a tree fell on my car. But I was just sitting there eating, and I was, having a good time, feeling good that I didn't drown. So they came over and said, we have some really bad news. And when they told me, I was like, okay, well, things happen. And people, this woman named Fish later said to me, that was so amazing the way you handled it. But I was like, I'm just so exhausted. It was more out of exhaustion. So things like that will make it in for sure. And I've kept, there's a lot of pieces. Yeah.
That's very visual. And you can also see how that would be easier to watch than to write. I think that's some of the challenges of putting something into a book, what makes it in and what, and you're part of lots of communities. You have your survivor communities and you have your writing communities. And I know from reading your acknowledgements that there are a lot of helping hands for your manuscript. So what kind of input from writers, or anyone, doesn't have to be writers, that you had to say, it's not really about that? Did you feel like you were pushed to go into a certain direction with the book?
Well, I got feedback, cancer is not supposed to be funny. That's how can you be talking about it and making jokes? It's not funny. People die of it. My husband, he's an editor, and he was not excited for me to tell the world that I'm digging my own poop out, that I have the hots for the surgeon, that, what was the other thing? Oh, finances. I was so worried about money. And he would say, it'll be fine, it'll be fine. I'm like, how? And I'm thinking I could be a cancer cam girl, like YouTube myself so you could see my scars if that's what you're into. I was just trying to be kind of crazy and creative on how to make it and how to financially make it. And we needed help. So I'd say those are the main ones, the humor, and some folks thought it's way too graphic. They would respond, that's really gross. But then they tell me their own gross medical story. So it's like, but you like it. So you're getting therapy from it too. You're getting something out of it.
That's really telling that you have someone say, oh, you can't say that, you're not supposed to say that. But then once you open the door, you say, well, by the way, I have a funny poop story too. Funny you should mention that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why we need these books, why we need to tell our stories, why we need to get those books out there. It's so inspiring to see that you not only went through, what you went through and chronicled it and put it into a work of art, right? And I mean, literally, right, with Dawn's work, and also the manuscript itself, the book itself, but also, okay, how do I get this into the world? And if editors think they want to see a specific thing, or publishers, then we'll do a Kickstarter, and this is how I will get it out into the world. And I think that's really inspiring. I think that's one of the great things about where we are today with technology, that we can see each other in our living rooms, that we can connect in that way, that we can get our words into people's living rooms and bookshelves and libraries, because it's important to have those different viewpoints, particularly now this was such a different experience for me reading it again after the pandemic than when I read it before. And I think I'm certainly more attuned to how fragile our medical system is. And I'm going to get my specific question for you about this. How do you see the and I'm sure, and please talk about the coronavirus prompt book as well.
Yeah.
How do you see your book being received now that people are in kind of a medical crisis, or very attuned to how close they can be to a medical crisis? How is that different from before, when it seemed like a more distant problem? If that's
Well,
a clear question.
Stress and anxiety for most people, it's through the roof now as we're home. And folks that have experienced cancer or medical issues, we already know what it's like to be forced to sit on the couch, be forced to take it easy, and sit in the middle of the night with the fear of medical debt and facing our own mortality. So I think that people are facing that now and understanding what's broken. So I think that it can be a guide, because a lot of times in the book, I was looking back, and remembering people that I've loved that I don't see anymore, people who have already died, just being forced to sit with these emotions, which I before I was sick, I loved being busy, because then I don't have to acknowledge my emotions. I could just keep going.
Right. Is it too soon to make fun of coronavirus? Is it too soon to be irreverent?
Well, you can make fun of people when they're taking 12 things of pasta sauce at the store. You definitely can. And I think there's still some material. I make fun of my husband when he's trying to share forks, and I'm like, don't give me coronavirus. You can still use it for some humor. I think for me, I have to, because I just have a warped sense of humor, and that's my way of sort of navigating it. It's of course serious and a crisis, and very difficult, the most difficult time that we've faced in the last 100 years or more, right?
Right. I can see myself slowly sinking into sunlight. And so I'm going to turn my video off and make some adjustments. I'm just glad that the cat hasn't made her appearance. And why don't you read something from a chapter from your book?
Yep.
And we'll find some questions from the audience when we come back.
So I'm going to read chapter 5, and that's wig time. And so the wigs are, for me, they ended up being a shield, because cancer, it's just too terrible for me to navigate it as myself. So I need to imagine myself as a different character, sort of a more exaggerated version of myself. And also just find a way to wake up and get out of bed every morning when I don't feel like doing that when I'm sick. All right, wig time. Months before I was diagnosed, I bought a wig and decided to try it out for a special date night. When my husband saw me in a jewel-colored blue dress with a long red wig on, he told me, "You look like a prostitute." I thought I looked like a curvy 1950s movie siren, or a gussied up version of maybe The Little Mermaid if she had a hot aunt. My son, Cipriano, told me I looked like a witch. Oops. That first wig is not subtle. The lengthened shade of hair, probably too crayon red, bright to look normal and real. With any wig, I want to look like a more exciting version of myself. But after receiving those witch hooker comments from my family, I stow the wig messily in a cabinet without wearing it outside. Fast forward to having cancer. Although most women wear wigs for 9 to 12 months when they are ill, fun and saucy informative tips on buying and caring for wigs is tougher to find. I at first feel cautious about wearing a wig. Yet the idea of getting a stable of wigs helps me pretend I am a mermaid, Beyonce, Andy Warhol, or Elizabeth Taylor, maybe all of the above. Shopping for a wig indulges my inner drag queen while literally making me hotter, like sweaty hot. Maybe I seek a spring in my step because cancer makes me so tired. It's depressing. I shop for a wig as a treat when I wake up groggy from a 2-hour port surgery where a tube is attached to the right side of my chest. The port is billed as a helpful way to take the bee sting feel out of chemo and blood pricks. It's important to build fun distractions. That means telling myself, sure, I can read trashy gossip when I'm at the doctor's office. The wig shopping request confuses Oscar. He asks, shouldn't we go home so that you can rest? That's no way to talk to a pushy patient who knows what she wants. I need to do this now. My hair is falling out, I say. Exhibit A, repulsive handfuls of hair in our shower drain. I feel so afraid and sad and mad at what I see in the mirror. Losing hair and being bald pushes my insecurity buttons. I don't look normal or feminine or like myself, or what I will soon come to think of as pre-cancer me. Chris Wilhite and her crew at San Francisco's Friend to Friend shop helps me. She has had cancer and knows my friends Amy Calloway and Barbara Denson. Chris seems to know my pain and what I'm going through. A darker wig doesn't feel as fun, even though it's close to my usual hair color. In my buzzy, exhausted state, I home in on a short blonde number. Oscar says, blonde, are you sure? And he's not smiling. He's probably pushing his glasses up too. The staff members do not cringe when I try on various blonde wigs. None of them are trying to talk me out of anything my little sad heart desires. The women offer pleasing comments for one particular wig, and I want to roll my eyes at the man in the room. Wow, it really suits you, one of the staffers offers, as I look at myself in the mirror, puffy and drained, yet intrigued. Maybe the bright colors of the shop give me courage. The space is full of colorful long scarves, caps, and accessories. It looks fashiony. I remember that I currently need and prefer comfy pants and stretchy tops, yet maybe some pops of color would be a good idea. Money's on my mind. I have so many bills. This shop will give me one wig for free. I don't think I'd be here without that important factor. Debating how and whether to take any time off work while juggling a mountain of medical debt is a common issue for patients like me. While I browse, I forget that my body hurts, my brain is foggy. Instead of feeling sad about the cancerous rock in my breast, the blonde wig gives me something to look forward to. It's new and fresh, not scary and overwhelming. Maybe just for a bit, it's my new normal. Soon, I enjoy appreciative looks on the street as I sport my blonde look. Hey everyone, I wore this same dress last month and you didn't even notice. So I'll end with that.
Thank you, Mary. We talked a little bit about this beforehand. So that wig went back. It got donated back. You don't still have it? It's not like a
I don't still have it. No, Andy Warhol got donated. And I will say it is called the Wig Diaries, but wigs, they are hot. So not an option for everybody, but I love the attention I got with Andy Warhol. And my friend said, you should have become a blonde sooner, because I still went to some events when I had the energy, and we went to this food event and it's like the staff ran over to our table. What would you like, ma'am and miss, things like that. And I don't know, it's pretty fun being a tall blonde for a while.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
So do you still wear wigs? You look fantastic.
Thank you. I have, no, but I have like turbans. So I love animal print. I got into the turbans when I was sick, and those are great. And then scarves. But the wigs, no, I don't. But there's a wig store right down the street. So I always stop and just stand in front of the window and look. And I do buy my turbans from them. And so, you know, maybe I'll wear one or get one for an event. Who knows?
Okay. So going back to our audience Q&A, someone asked, go back to that dance thing. Can you give us a little bit more context about Dance for Cancer or?
Oh, being a
Yeah.
cancer model. So it was it was at Union Square, and it was a really big event, and they just wanted people who had had cancer or have cancer to be a model. So I heard about it through a support group that I'm in, and some of the people that from the support group were like, they alluded to the fact that it would be superficial, but I still felt like, well, it's so exciting. They're going to dress me up and I'll be with meet other people. I always really, really enjoy it when it's in-person time with other people who've gone through breast cancer. So I wasn't able to I had to go to like an audition to just meet them in person. And they said, oh, you're tall. We'll have you be our centerpiece. And I thought, great, but I think once the makeup thing, then I got demoted and they changed the routine. And I think they realized, maybe we should let her dance, but not be the centerpiece. And they brought in a ringer. And so, so I did twirl around. And then they, without telling us, they said, we want each of you to share, what does breast cancer mean to you? And I can't remember what I said, but I sort of stuttered and I was like, oh, I think I yelled to Union Square. I'm like, self-care rocks. And so my family was making fun of me for that. And then my son was asking when I was going to take off my makeup. But I loved it. And they had a professional photographer. And then they wanted us to go to these booths. They had all these booths set up for attendees. And they wanted us to be model for free with the folks who were sponsors, who had spent a lot of money on their, and they had weird scientific equipment that's medical equipment. I was like, whatever. So I took a picture with one sponsor and then I was like, I'm too hot. I'm going to go back. And they fed us pizza. So I feel like anytime you feed me pizza, I'll show up. So, but yeah, cancer. I would do it again if they asked, and they have, but yeah, it was fun.
That sounds like a bumper sticker too. Self-care rocks.
Yeah, self-care rocks.
I'm going to go back to our questions. Let's see. We have a question from a breast cancer survivor. And she wants to know, can you tell us how old you were when you were diagnosed, how you found it, how long you have, how long have you been cancer-free? How long ago was that?
Got it. So I was 39 and that was in 2013. And I found the lump myself. And then I went to my regular OBGYN and had the usual unpleasant exam, you ladies know what I'm talking about. So I told her about it and she felt it and said, it's probably nothing. And so I came home from that appointment. She didn't refer me to have any other tests or anything like that. And around that time, Angelina Jolie had just very publicly written about the preventative mastectomy that she had and that she was a BRCA1 carrier. So she has that gene and it predisposes her, makes it more likely that she would possibly get breast cancer and ovarian cancer. That stuck in my brain. I'm really glad that, and that's in the book as well. But I wrote her a letter and thanked her because it took me 3 weeks to figure out, but I get one annual exam a year. Who am I supposed to go to for a new provider? But Oscar kept saying, please just do it. Please just do it. And I was worried about the cost too. Is it going to be in network, that sort of thing. So I went to someone else and then they started doing biopsies and things like that. And then learned I was triple negative. That's very, very aggressive, the most aggressive form of breast cancer. And lucky me, I do have the BRCA1 gene, just like Angelina Jolie. And it's been over 5 years that I've been no evidence of disease, yet I still go every 3 months and get blood work and watch for things like that. But I had a mastectomy, so the breasts were cut off, and then they made new ones. That's how I lost weight. They made new ones with my belly fat from all those years of being a food writer. So I got new boobs. I call them my stomach boobs. And then I had a hysterectomy so that I won't have. So my lady parts are gone.
Just some of them, just the inside ones.
Yeah. And I'm missing, a nipple got necrosis. If you don't know what that is, that's dying, rotting flesh. So I had a staph infection after one of the surgeries and it smelled really bad. It smelled like fermented, disgusting gravy that you've left out side for a week. But I didn't know. I thought that's how surgery goes. So it took me a day to go in. I had to take pictures with my cell phone, send it to the surgeon. The surgeon I had the hots for, he's like, come in right now. So we came in, and then they couldn't save the nipple. And it took me about 1.5 years to decide to get tattoos to cover up those scars. And so I feel like a human again, but I gotta say, like, sex drive just disappears. And sometimes it's just easier to cuddle with my adorable dog and watch TV. So cancer folks can relate about that.
So go rewind a little bit. There are enough noun phrases in there that I can figure out what a nipple tattoo artist is or does, but can you just give us a little bit more context? Because I had heard this from other women, and of course Google's there, but just give us a little bit more context about the nipple tattoo artist, and then just, it's a thing. It's not, it's a thing, like a thing.
Yeah, it's a medical benefit that is available to folks who've gone through breast cancer and have scars. So generally it's covered, from my understanding. And sometimes you can get it at your surgeon's office. It may be that a nurse practitioner does that. The woman that I found, she's a cancer survivor, but she's a painter of people. Her name is Kathy Locati. And I wanted to go with her because it would be custom blend. So she would blend it using organic ink, and it would take 2 sessions for her to create a 3D tattoo. What is that? It's when you look at my chest, it appears your eye gets fooled. She paints it with, so it's sort of textured looking. I almost want to show you. I do show people, like at support groups, but I won't, so we don't get in trouble. But your mind, like my brain gets fooled looking at it. It looks real again. And she also fixed the alignment, so they're on the same line now. And she got rid of all the scars from all of the surgeries I had had. So it's a benefit, and it helped me feel normal-ish again.
Well, I'm so glad I asked, because I just thought it was like a picture, like like an anchor or a dragon or just like a regular tattoo. But no, it's a tattoo of a nipple.
Yeah.
On the breast. Okay.
Yeah. And you can definitely get whatever. If you wanted a tree of flowers, there's that option is definitely available, and something that people do as well. And that can be really cool.
Yeah, right. I see some more questions. I don't know how to pronounce this, but you might.
Oophorectomy.
Yes.
Yes, I did. I had an oophorectomy. The question is, did I have an oophorectomy with my hysterectomy? Yes.
What is that?
So I think that means they took my hymen. It's more parts taken versus, I need to look that one up again, and to get the official explanation. So
you're telling us there's no cartoon of that in the book?
No. But there's a definite easier recovery
okay.
hysterectomy.
Okay. Oh, and then somebody says, okay. All right. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary, for reminding me of what happened to me. I should know.
It takes a village. So can you maybe, the best way to do this is if you can chat to the library, and they can get the slides of some of your favorite illustrations. One of our viewers wanted you to hold up the book and show some of the illustrations, but we can also put the slides.
Yeah. No, I can show you. So this one's, I do the graphic pooping. So this one is good. Visiting a friend and need to poop. Tell that friend it's going to be a while, and well, you guys can see it. So this one came up because I was invited to go to a work party, and I've known these people since I was in my 20s. And I said, and they said, I'm like, what can I bring? And I started listing what I was going to bring. And they're like, you're crazy. We want to cook for you. Just come and have lunch with us and have this celebration. And I said, no offense, but oh good, they're showing it. No offense, but can I have the key to the private bathroom? Because sometimes there's explosive diarrhea, sometimes it's constipation, or it's both. So that's where that one came up. Lots of time in the bathroom. And then the other one that's fun is choosing wigs is like choosing a puppy. Wait for that connection. So you get to really see Dawn's sense of humor in that one. You know, if it happens with all of them, take them all home. The wig shelter.
Just like a puppy, just like a puppy.
Yeah.
One of our audience questions is, what's the worst wig you ever bought? Or did you just have like a bad wig that you ended up buying?
I liked all of them. I didn't care. The hooker one, you know, that didn't get as much wear, but I had a friend, April, and my son is in the class with her son, and she was diagnosed right around the same time as me, and she loved that wig. And so I think it was just find the people that appreciate it. Not everyone appreciates a wig, and that's their business. I don't need to hear about it. Shh, I have cancer. So you can also, as a cancer patient or survivor, you can use that, you know, next time you have cancer, why don't you tell me how you're going to react? So.
It has not recurred since the 9 surgeries, and I didn't write down all the numbers.
Oh yeah.
But so far,
69 blood draws. No, there's no recurrence, but just under the watchful care of my medical team. But yeah, no recurrence.
Well, I just have one more question. I want you to talk about the pandemic prompt book and how that came about. And I'm an avid believer in journaling and of course writing, but for someone who doesn't think of themselves as a writer, what would you tell them? What would they get out of your book?
Well, this book, it's and I'll just show you. I had time, you know. I was isolated. I was home, and I realized that I wanted some writing prompts to help me write things down that were happening, because a funeral is happening now. But it's also a celebration of the life that we had just a few months ago. And so I wanted a creative way to just get my thoughts out and memories. And so that's why I created that book. And it's for all writing levels. And I've taught classes for people to use it, and people really respond to it because there's, you know, the chance to relive going to a concert and, you know, having a dance party with your friends, and what sort of food would you like someone to cook for you? Who did you have a crush on in junior high? Things like that. And it mirrors the experience I had, all the reflection that I was forced into when I was sick, and the practice that I had of how do I deal with this under isolation. So it's a good tool. I cannot say, you know, you can't say that writing is therapy, but this book, it's a way, it's therapeutic. So. And I priced it as low as possible because I want as many people to have the tool.
That's great. And it's available Green Apple, lulu.com. You can go to your website, and of course we always love to support Green Apple. So that's a good outlet for that. I have one more question for you. What are you working on now?
I'm working on a novel that involves hair. I met a writer named Kat Gwynn at a book festival, and we both are triple negative. We both have gone through breast cancer, and we started talking about where are wigs from. So in this book, we have multiple characters. We're writing it together. There's DNA involved. There's vast riches. There's a diamond, and we meet. We're really jamming because we applied to go to this conference, and we may or may not be able to go, but just setting deadlines and working on it together. And, you know, my first book, I was panicked and scared and felt like it's not going to happen. So having someone else and being accountable really helps for this book project.
That sounds like a movie.
It's a fun one. Yeah.
Real hair, DNA, diamonds. That's your movie pitch. After the book is out, of course.
Yes. Oh, and there's a merkin, which is a pubic wig. So we found a way to work that in. So all the weird things I love researching and writing about gets to go into this book.
now that has to be the last question. We have to end on that. Yeah, it's not going to get any better. All right. So I just want to thank the Walnut Creek Library Foundation. I think Lisa will come back in. Another Zoom meeting, a more intimate Zoom meeting. You can ask Mary your questions, and that link will magically appear. That's part of the part that I don't have to handle. I think, am I back? Was I going something? I got a message that my internet connection was unstable, but I see everybody, so I think it's okay. Well, thank you everyone for staying in tonight and tuning in with us.
Yes, thank you. Everyone. Thank you, Arinda Books, Walnut Creek Library Foundation, Lisa, Janine.
This book.
Thank you.
And we hope to see you soon. Thank you, Lisa.
Oh, you're very welcome. Speaking of the technical difficulties, I was having a hard time getting my screen to come back, but here we are. And thank you so much, Janine and Mary, for truly the most interesting and honestly informative conversation I've ever gotten the pleasure of hearing about cancer. And I so admire your candor and your willingness to share with us all the nuts and bolts and nitty gritty of cancer. And I think your book is wonderful. So I have a couple of closing remarks now. I'm getting a note here that I want to also, I'm going to just go on with my notes here. Our next live programs are Summer Fun with Historical Fiction on July 20th from 3 to 4. Join best-selling authors Sarah Ackerman, Yang C. Chu, Elise Hooper, Noelle Salazar, and they're going to talk about the historical novels they've written and their writing process and some of their favorite summer reads. Also be sure to visit our website, wclibrary.org, and sign up for our newsletter to always get new notes and the latest updates on our programming, because we are constantly adding to our calendar. And as we get a feel for how the Zoom works, we hope to expand. If you purchased your book prior to tonight, you should have received a special invitation to chat with Mary after this. Give us a few minutes and we will open that meeting. And on behalf of the Walnut Creek Library Foundation, I would just like to thank you for being here, and a special thanks to Mary and to Arinda Books and to Janine for moderating. We will see you again soon. Thanks.